are on Play It Forward with Anastasia Washington, actor, filmmaker. The short film is Deadhead. Anastasia, thanks for being here today. Would you like to introduce yourself and or Deadhead anyway prior to starting?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Anastasia Washington. I am an actor, a comedian, a filmmaker, a screenwriter. And Deadhead is a film that I was lucky enough to be part of about female rage and how it presents itself. It's a horror comedy that turns into a monster flick. Where female rage is expressed through an amazing creature. And yeah, I get to play such an amazing, supportive bestie in it, which is also great.
So to contextualize female rage in my life, I have a feminine side and I
Yeah.
have rage. So there's
Mhm.
that kind of context. And I think what you're talking about is I was going to make a joke and I'll say I have a daughter who's 4 years
Do
old,
it.
so I get a lot of female
Yes.
rage there.
Wait till
Uh,
she's 13.
right. Yeah. 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 Well, I'm trying to intervene at this stage and teach her how to, talk through her emotions. So, and empower those emotions. And that
Yeah.
really actually leads us nicely into, when I hear you saying female rage is a, identified male, whatever, it's one of the I don't know, whatever. I identify as male, and so that said, um, having a feminine side, and the way I understand what you mean by female rage is repressed rage, like socially un. I think men are more kind of at ease traditionally in our culture to like have a fist fight, and it's a little less sort of prescribed or acceptable with women identified. Is that how do you feel about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the crust of it. That's like the basics of it. There's a little bit more nuances on it. The way that we're able as women to present ourselves to present ourselves to societies is in some ways we're more free, uh, but in some ways men are able to be considered more aggressive and go after their rage, but at the same time women are able to be more vulnerable, where men are not. We're also we have an expectation of like a visual we have like a visual expectation of being caring and loving and soft and pretty, and when we distort that, it is hard for people to process. And yet, in other ways, men aren't allowed to express their softness and their vulnerabilities and their anger in softer ways. So it's like, I think that's kind of the thing about it. It's a little bit more nuanced. The way that we're able to present ourselves to society, or that we're encouraged to, um, men are able to be present themselves more ragefully, but in other ways, men are very much suppressed because of their vulnerability. So it's like women have this a lot of expectations to be caring and soft and loving and a visual aesthetic that is pleasing. And yet we still have the same kind of feelings that men do. It's another layer. Me being half black, there's ways that I want to be presented. My father always wanted us to stand in black excellence, and we're supposed to reach for the stars, we're supposed to reach for our goals, but we're also supposed to be very calm, and reach for them in a calm manner to not like rock the boat. But again, I have feelings, and I don't always want to present myself that way, or I'm not always able to, and there's guilt, and there's there's a lot of weight on that, because I do have, everybody has the same feelings. I think that what's so great about this film is that you have two women of color that are presenting very different ways that they're able to present rage. some of it is very fanciful. Um, but I think it's pretty great to explore that as women of color and to break those norms and break out of that like box of soft invisibility. And I think men also have their own bag of stuff, but like just focusing on from me as a woman of color, how I feel like I don't always have the most um I don't always want to speak like kindly and softly. Sometimes I'm having a bad day. Sometimes I'm having these feelings, and that those are valid. And as long as we're, staying in a respectful space and we're not really doing what a monster would do, that it's okay. And I think that's what's really great about this is that it explores that because we all have the rights to our feelings and we all have the rights to frustration and vulnerability and rage. It's just learning how to express it.
And I think that's really the universal theme for me is speaking up, because
Yeah,
we're all find ourselves in those situations where like we're, that's not permitted or
right.
it's not encouraged. And so, but it's necessary, right? It's necessary for us to maintain that integrity of voice and consciousness. So we have to speak up. So how do you negotiate that in those difficult times? And, this film and this storyline, it's a woman is bitten by a plant and she is kind of impregnated, poisoned by this monstrous thing that she develops, becomes a monster, and is actually ends up, um, hurting, killing, a person who is this symbol of unfairness, right? So it's kind of
Right.
this like retributional thing, which is like she's, championed in this, but she's also overtaken and consumed by this monstrous rage. So there's that balance, which is rage. And so as an actor, I know, you were presented the script and like, hey, there might have been different things that brought you into it. But clearly, as you're reading this book and as you acted in this movie, clearly you have a germinal seed inside you that says, yes, I have to be a part of this project. There's something that I've got to speak up about here. And what was that for you?
For me, I'm kind of a brooder myself because of the expectations that are put on me. And I will say I'm very honest about my mental health and mental status and vulnerabilities. Just FYI. So I'm kind of a brooder and I take things on, I take things on, I stuff it until I explode. And I explode into an unhealthy rage monster. Where I could have probably spoke up in these little tiny incidents, uh, and I'm working on doing that. But I think what was great about this was that it's like an exploration of all the monsters we in society we ourselves create. Um, Sometimes we put these expectations on people, whether it's female identifying or male or whatever. We've made these societal monsters by putting these expectations on each other and not allowing that, rage or that little unflattering view of ourselves. And we create those monsters by denying that. Um, and I think there's something so beautiful about that exploration of being able to see that transformation of rage. Uh, okay, in the movie, there's this amazing moment where she becomes the monster and she's just like standing in her rage, and it is glorious and it's beautiful and it's amazing. But there's a moment where she is just super confident and super loving and super like loving on herself, and it's like, damn girl, like I wish I was like that. You get envious of the monster, which is so like mind-boggling that you're envious of this monster and how she's allowed to present her beautiful rage to the world. And obviously nobody needs to go that far. I'm not I'm not but there is something so beautiful about her taking down the powers that be and just embracing her rage, and her beauty comes out in a different way. And I think that's the beautiful thing about horror, is that we get to explore these different things, and start conversations like this, and go to an extreme so that we don't have to in real life, and so that we can finally explore it, and hopefully stop them from going to the place where we are become our own monsters. But I think that's what's so beautiful about horror, is that it starts conversations, and I love to see how she stood in it, and I hope to learn from this to not become my own monster. But there's something so beautiful about that exploration, and that vulnerability that really drew me to this role, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally get it. And I totally, sympathize with it in the sense that I think our job is not to reject our emotions, but how do we cultivate them? How do we, I think the word is, um, harness them.
Yes, and how do we support each other? Like obviously, if we were to turn this into a feature, which I love the idea of that, us going on a buddy film to go around the world and take on this beautiful world of ours. But like how we need that support. And I think you see that in my character. Like if we had more time, we could explore that a little bit more. But I think we see that in my character, is that we see how important support is, communal support is. That it's okay not to accept things, that it's okay to speak up for yourself, and that somebody else has your back. And there's this thing like where she's clashing with my character about how she's not allowed to speak up, and I am the voice of saying like, yes, you have to speak up. But I think there's an expectation of like whether you're non-binary, male, female, like being able to explore that. It's not you were not able to express that, and I think that has to do with like expectations and stuff. But if we have a community behind us, or we have that other voice of support, we're able a little bit to explore that. So I think that's really what my character is kind of able to do. I mean, I wish we had all the time in the world to explore that. I wish we were a feature, and who knows, maybe we will one day. Yeah, and I think it's just a great oh no, it's I was just going to say that it's great having a communal best friend supporting system when you're going through something like that.
Right. And there's the allowance, which is so critical that you mentioned. And then there's also we kind of put these chains upon ourselves. We feel like we can't have them, these emotions, or can't express them. But it's kind of like our limitation that we don't know how to do it in a safe way. Having a friend that you can do it in a safe way, they're not going to take it personally. You can throw out all the F bombs, and you can stomp your feet and do whatever you
Yeah.
want. It's a safe place.
Yeah.
So that's really critical as we mature. Like, how do you just do it safely? How do you do it in a mature way? How do you tell somebody, hey, I got to speak up, such and such happened. I'm, boiling inside. And, I can have the maturity to do something in a positive way that's not gonna, add fuel to the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can come in so many forms. It could come in therapy, coping mechanisms, and then we use your partner, your friends, your family. And sometimes it's hard to find those safe places, but I think the most important thing is that so many of us feel that we have to do this alone, and it's so important and so necessary for us to have a community, especially with artists, especially with creatives. Like so many people have this pressure to do things on their own. You absolutely don't. Nobody can do it alone, and this is such a collaborative art form that we're in, and we should all be supporting each other, and we should all be bringing each other up, and And we should all be giving each other a platform to express these things because nobody can do it alone. You need people. You have to have community. And we have to be able to pull each other up.
It's a wonderful attitude, and it's refreshing to hear, and it's certainly something that the film world needs because there's a lot of the other side for various reasons that various pressures people face, and the competitive factors can kind of overshadow this. And this part of the nature of the show is to let's talk about the art. Let's remember we are artists
Yeah.
first, and the making the living thing that's yeah great if you can do it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you can do it. But also, this whole thing is a lot of corporate stuff where they put this competition of there's no space for there is space for us all. There's space for all. Growing up in this industry, I think that really early on I learned that I could not believe that there was only one biracial girl in this world for that role. And there was only one biracial woman out there that could make a living. I could not do that emotionally or physically and survive. I wanted to root for my friends. I wanted to be happy for my family and friends. I just can't be like that. And emotionally, nobody can be like that. You have to know that there's room for you and there's space for you and make that space for you if you need to. But you also have to turn around and bring your people up. Turn around when you're in a successful position, turn around and pick your friends up, pick your community up. It's so important. And you think about the most successful filmmakers out there, like Steven Spielberg. He brought his buddies up. George Lucas brought his buddies up. There's amazing comedians. They bring their buddies up. So just that's such an important thing, is to turn around and bring each other up, build each other up, give each other the space. And to not think of it as a you versus them thing, thinking of it as a collaborative community, I think is super important.
As an audience member, what do you hope people are taking away from the film?
I hope people are taking away that sense of community and having each other's back in moments like that. I know there's a vulnerability of being scared to speak up for somebody else or even yourself, but I think that's what I love about the character I got to play, is that she doesn't filter herself and doesn't filter herself from protecting people that she loves and cares about, or for what's right. And it's not easy to do that. But it's just better if you have each other's back. And I think that you don't have to walk into an office and punch somebody. Don't ever do that. But there are so many ways that you can speak up or have each other's back. And absolutely, don't do that. I mean, pretty much anything in this movie besides support each other and build a community, don't do. But I think that's what I hope people take away. And women and men, that they get empowered by their rage in a healthy way and realize that there's a rage monster in all of us and there's a way to present it in a healthy way. And maybe it's not going to at first come out as cool or be accepted as cool, but you gotta it's possible to evolve. It's possible. I don't think any of us quite have the pulse on it, but I think we're getting there.
It's a lot of work. Takes a lot of time.
Yes.
Let me ask you this: how have you been changed as a person since making the movie?
I think that being on set with all those amazing people, that we're very much all still in touch with each other. We definitely supportive of each other and on all levels. And I think that the change that I had in me was building more of my community. And also, I think I speak up for myself a little bit more, which might be my little rage monster coming out. I think I loved everybody that worked on this, and I'm rooting for everybody that's worked on this. And I love seeing everybody that's working on it, and they're just the best people, and that's so awesome to say. And I think that we're all just, especially me and the director, are supporting each other's rage monsters together throughout this filmmaker journey of ourselves. So that's just really epic and beautiful. It's just really special to be working on that with somebody.
That's awesome. It's great, that now that you had a little bit of rails to run on, you kind of learned what it felt like to feel that self.
Yeah, I mean, people may not have been ready for it, but
But you are, and that's what counts.
exactly. But I believe it's about time at my age, but but everybody at their own pace.
Yep, that's right. So now we have a little bonus track. We have a little time, and
Okay.
since you're an actor, I like to ask actors, how have they been worked with by
Mm-hmm.
directors in the
Mm-hmm.
past? How have they worked with directors in the past to establish, cues that really work for them in the moment?
I mean, I think, and I mean, this might sound very vague, vaguey booky, but I think communication is the most important thing for me. I I started acting so young that I have a very pleasing. I want to please everybody. I want to please my director. I want to give you what you want. Yeah, and most actors do. Yeah. I think I'm a little bit more honest about mine because as a kid I would just be like, "What do you want me to do?" But I think the more easily you can communicate what you're actually looking for, we want to give you that. We want to do that for you. Especially actors that have been working at it for a while. We want to give you that. We want to work with you. So the more easily that you can communicate that with me, the better I feel. Like, oh, this is your vision. This is what you want and what I need to give. But also another thing that feels really good is to have a little bit of collaboration. I know that a lot of people and a lot of directors have these visions, but we are also people and we want to feel creative and we want to feel like we're part of that and we want to give to that. So if you can clearly communicate what your vision is and give me a wiggle room to show you that, to show you my interpretation of that, what I can give to you and what I can give to that world. I know it's so hard for some directors because they have such a vision, but I got to also be in that vision and I got to be able to move a little bit. Yeah. And so I think that sometimes we forget that we're all just human and we're trying to create something together and we just want to feel a part of that. It's the best when we feel a part of that. And it would be the same way with a director. I wouldn't want, I want to create your vision. I want to be a part of it. I want to support you and I want to feel part about it. And I want to feel important. And it's a collaborative art. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
collaborative art, like you said in the beginning. It's co-creating, and if you want to bring the real and let the audience feel that,
Yeah.
then it has to be yours.
Yeah. And I understand why sometimes it gets so. I've worked with a lot of directors over my lifetime, and I've had the ones that let you play too much, and that I've had the ones that have been like, down to my pinky, I want your pinky here, and everywhere in between. But I think the ones that make me feel the most, the ones I want to give the most to are the ones that are like, this is what I'm going for, and these are the boundaries, and play. And let's come up with something. This is what I need. This is what my vision is, but also go in between that. And I think that's with anything in life. Here are the boundaries. Let's play within those boundaries. I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a healthy space, and we can, reflect on that
Yes.
as
Yeah.
how it applies to
Exactly.
anger and rage. Here are the
Exactly.
boundaries. Let's play with that. Yeah.
Exactly. With anything, relationships, love, as long as we are clearly communicating, this is what I need, these are my boundaries, there's so much room to collaborate and play. Yes, and so yeah, that's what I would say. I would also say that filmmakers that are working with kid actors, it's the same thing. they want to please you so much. And I've heard some really horrible communications with kid actors, and I've heard some horrible things about kid actors. And as a former kid actor, I had my moments too. I threw a tantrum and said, I will never forget it. But just remember, they're human too, and they want to give you what you want. But, and the clearer that you communicate that with them, the better. It really does stay with them. I'll tell you, those moments stay.
I bet.
Yeah.
Anastasia Washington, filmmaker, actor, much more. Thank you so much for being on Play It Forward. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
All right. Bye bye, everybody on Play It Forward. Peace out.